Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad, here with Doug.
Hey.
Over the past week, Steam did something kind of different with everything shutting down, all these different game festivals and all this kind of conventions and everything being shut down. They did the Steam Summer Game Festival where they had 900 of these very early alpha, beta, early access almost games that you normally would see at those conventions and shows that they just threw up for everyday people like us to download, which was pretty cool.
It was very cool. It was extremely cool. I did PAX this year. It wasn't as good as other PAXs that I've been to, and it's just like kind of feeling more PAX. I'm always feeling more PAX. It felt like I got like a little PAX at home, and I very much love that.
It is cool because this is something that I live in an area where there's no way in hell there's ever going to be anything remotely cool like a PAX or anything because middle of nowhere. So it's kind of cool to actually be able to see some of these things and try some of these things that people would normally talk about that I would just never get the chance to do.
Yeah, it is cool because some of these demos, like I saw these demos at PAX, and these demos had like 20-minute lines. It's cool. It's like download, play.
No line. No line. Suckers.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like if you've never been to PAX, like this is the closest thing you can get to having sort of a PAXy experience.
So we'll do a couple videos on these because we both played a good dozen or two. I think each one of us played probably 20 or 30 of these things that kind of stood out to us. So we'll just kind of talk through a few of them that we thought were pretty cool. And the first one that I want to start with is Spiritfarer, which I think it was a Nindies or a Nintendo Direct or something like that, had a little bit of a trailer in like 6 or 7 months ago. And it was one of those games that stood out just because the art style is really, really cool. But this was like, as soon as I saw this was the first one I went to.
Yeah, this is definitely probably like the biggest game. This was like, I think the most immediately recognizable, except like Heavy Rain was there for some reason, but I was like,
Heavy Rain's great, but yeah.
Heavy Rain is great, but it's not a whatever this is.
But this is one of those games where I didn't really know what I was getting into, and kind of as it went on, it was really cool the way the demo kind of progressed and showed you a bunch of different mechanics that you would clearly be doing in this game in a much bigger way. Yeah. So you're on this boat, and you start out going through and you're looking for this character kind of goes, oh, I'm passing on to the next realm. Like, can you build me this on the ship? And you go and you get the thing and it looks like, oh, you're going to kind of be building these different chunks of the ship. Yeah. Which was kind of a cool little thing that I didn't know anything other than that maybe 45-second trailer was a really cool way to kind of think through the ship and instantly made that ship feel like home, and you can run around, you can talk to everybody, you can cook stuff, grow food, all this stuff on the ship.
Yeah, it's like a little town builder that's like really small. It's like a really tiny town that you're managing on this one ship.
Yeah, but then there's also these platforming mechanics that pop in, and eventually you kind of unlock the ability to double jump and all these different things. It felt like you kind of had the really platform heavy aspects. You had this little builder blown in there. And it was really kind of fun just to sit there and play this for 20 minutes or so and get kind of this picture of what's going on. The story, I thought, had a good hook, left on a good note that made me curious about what else is coming here. Just a really cool little game, I think.
I think there's like a few things that like really, really stood out to me. It was like, one, just the animation is insane. Like the main character, on everybody, it's just like, I've seen like there's like plenty of 2D drawing games out there, but like it's like, oh, these are like professional animators. I don't know what the hell's going on here, but like it was really cool because one of the glide animations is you glide with your hat, and it's just like such a cool little animation. But the one thing I thought was really funny that I was not expecting at all, is like, I don't know what this game's about at all, is so there's a part where one of the characters tells you, it's like, hey, we need to get to this port. It's like, go to your navigation thing. So you walk over to your navigation thing and you're like, it's like, now select the area. And I selected the area and I was just like, okay, so am I warping there? And all of a sudden you're like, oh no, it's like a real time.
Yeah.
We're going to be traveling there for like the next 10 minutes. And I was like, oh, that's so crazy. And things are happening on the ship as there's like little stories popping up on the ship. There's like, you can grow food. You can do these little mini games of cooking and that sort of thing. I was just like, it's a lot of different things that I was not expecting at all.
Yeah, because I had that same thing. I hit it and then I was like, okay, where's the fast travel button? Yeah. And it was like, oh, there's not. And then somebody came and talked to me. It's like, oh, well, I guess if I do that quest, that'll probably be there. And I did that quest really quick, walked back up. I was like, I made it like 20% of the way, and that's it. It's like, well, you can go fishing, you can cook, you can do this. And at first, it kind of gave me that like jarring feeling of like, oh, God, this is one of those games where it's just like, just sit there for a while. But there's so much going on in the ship. And even in that first initial little bit where there's only, I think there were maybe, 7 or 8 buildings in there.
Something like that, yeah.
There was enough to kind of explore and look around that by the time you got to that next port, you got to that town, you kind of got this really good feel of the ship, and I never had that feeling like, oh god, okay, well, I guess I'll just sit here and run to the bathroom really quick, and by the time I get back, what you get, I think, in sometimes some of these real-time playing games, but it's really, really cool the way that you can kind of interact with it. The animations you mentioned, I didn't even notice it until I think maybe 15 minutes in. The water reflection is so well done.
When you walk, I didn't notice it. I didn't notice
when you're walking along the ship, it's all mirrored and reflected in the water. It looks so nice.
That sounds like a Doug comment. I like it. Yeah, no, the game's cool because it took the time that you would spend like managing a town sim, but then they took that time, but you're also traveling and moving the story forward during that time that you're managing. It's like, it's such a clever way of doing the management part, but there's also in the background time moving forward to get you that destination. It seems like it's just so it's clever in a lot of different ways.
And the town management actually felt like it was going to matter, where I feel like a lot of it, I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles right now, and you can rebuild one of the colonies that gets destroyed, and it's like, oh yeah, you just go there, you build a house, you leave, you can come back in 4 or 5 hours, build another house, come in, and it's like it's a side thing, it's meaningless. Ori did something similar. Ori and the Will of the Wisp did something similar too, where it's just kind of this part up there on its own, whereas this, it's like, no, as you're building this is important. These characters seem to need these different things, and you're going to kind of see it grow because you're constantly in the town, or on the boat in this case, and you're constantly seeing it develop, and it actually seems like it's going to serve part of the story more so than just like and you can build a cool town if you want to.
Yeah, it was cool because like every character on that boat seemed like a very important character. It's not like an Animal Crossing sort of, maybe this out of thing where it's just like that character could be anybody, but it's like, oh no, these are clearly your main party, I guess, sort of thing. It was very cool.
Yeah, so really cool game. Check out. I will for sure be checking that one out when it comes out. It was probably one of my favorite ones, I think, out of all the games that I played. Through this is probably one of my top 2, and this next one is for sure the other one in the top 2.
So yeah, I didn't play this one at all, so I'm really curious about this one.
I set the order, so we get to talk about the cool things that I liked first. So Cris Tales, which again, game I'd never heard of. Literally clicked on because it's like, oh, that looks kind of cool, and then I saw JRPG and I went, ooh, that's really cool.
I think that's exactly why I didn't click on it. I was like, oh, it's a JRPG, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for a JRPG demo.
Yeah, this is one of those things where like I kind of started and I was like, oh, okay, it starts you out in a battle, and the aesthetic of the game is gorgeous. It's all very colorful, very lively, almost kind of that 2D walking around in a 3D world. Almost, I kind of think Paper Mario, and I think that's just because the new one's coming out soon. But kind of has that feel to it, and just the menus are huge and giant and colorful. It just looks really cool when you start out. And then as you go in, you kind of like, okay, this is weird because it doesn't have that very grand scale that you normally get on the beginning of a JRPG, where it's like, oh my god, the world's ending and these people are coming and you're the only one. It's you go back to your orphanage, and then you're like, oh, well, go talk to these people, and you kind of get this vision, and then a talking frog in a top hat shows up to you, and it has very much this like fairy tale beginning. Where you would almost get like out of a Disney movie. It's like, oh, I live in the orphanage, and here's my talking frog coming to tell me, ooh, and I have this weird vision.
Okay.
So it's this really cool thing, but the craziest thing that this does is the way it handles time.
Yeah, I was reading the description. I was like, I don't understand what the hell this game. It's like a JRPG where you're in 3. I was like, I don't understand what the hell's going on. So explain how time works in this game, because I have
there's a few different things where this kind of plays in. So the story, they start hinting at a lot that there's some different things you can do in the story right from the beginning. The cathedral, you go into this church they're talking about. You notice right away that the stained glass in the back looks very similar to your main character, and then they reference that towards the end of the demo, like, I think she looks like me, once you figure out you kind of have these time powers. Yeah. So you kind of initially like, that's weird. And then by the end of the demo, you've got that feeling. The 2 biggest things with this, though, is the walking around in the combat, the way they use it. So the walking around, the game actually is split into triangles. And it's going to be really hard to describe this. So it might just be better to Google it if you're interested.
So I have a square screen. Explain where the triangle
3
goes.
Triangles. So in the middle, you've got... it's like a equilateral triangle in the middle, right in the middle of your screen. That's your present time, right? Where you're walking around, you're doing everything. The top right and top left corners are then the past and the future. Okay. So as you're walking around, you can see scenery and what's going to happen and what's going to come. So the one that kind of stuck out to me is you go to this apothecary shop, right? Mm-hmm. As you walk past, you see this old dude and this little girl. And you're like, oh, okay, whatever. You walk up to it, though, and as you walk up to it, you switch to the present, and it's just this, like, little bit older, like maybe like 20-ish, whatever, I don't know ages, but you see this as one woman who's clearly a little bit older in the middle of those two, and you talk to her, she's like, oh yeah, it's been so rough taking over since my dad died. And as you walk back and forth, you can tell, oh, you're the little girl and your dad in this triangle, and now that I'm in the present, because I'm seeing what happened in the past, now I see that you are here running the shop after your dad, who I can see in the past has died.
Do you also see the future in that moment as well?
Yeah, so then if you keep walking, it'll pan to the future, and then I'm trying to remember exactly, but a lot of this game has to do with this town being like destroyed and raided. So you kind of see some of the stuff broken down and what happens there. Mm-hmm. So you're able to see everything in kind of these three chunks. So like there's another part where you walk through a field and you see, okay, in the past, empty field, now short little stalks of something, and then you go to the future and you see, oh, they're fully grown. So you're getting kind of this time lapse of things as you're walking through the town. Do
you interact are you only in present day all the time? Like, so I get that you can see it. But you're only interacting within present day then, right?
So you're only interacting in present day for the first, I would say, like 70%. And then once you kind of get a better handle on your time powers, you can start doing puzzles. Okay. So you can kind of jump between time periods. So there's one where using the apothecary again, where she goes, oh my gosh, like I was in such a rush. Like I forgot to label these. One of these had a poison label on it and one didn't, but it fell off. I don't know. So then like you jump back into time. You go, oh, okay. It's the one with the blue top had the poison label. Here you go.
Do you talk with her as like a little girl in the past then, or no?
No.
Okay.
Again, demo. So I don't know where they're going with it.
Oh, sure. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah. Big asterisk on all of these impressions.
Yes. But it was a really cool way to kind of just see this town. And again, because it's the way that it talks about how initially it's like, oh, there's something going on here. And actually the first scene that you play ends up being very similar to the last scene because you actually were going, like you start and then you kind of go back in time a little bit there. So time is really weird in it. The other thing that really kind of hit like, whoa, this is cool, is the final enemy you play in the demo has this big ass shield in front of it. Mm-hmm. And you sit there and you hit it 2 or 3 times. It's 0 damage, 0 damage, 0 damage, 0 damage. Well, so then it's like, oh, well, we can use our time powers. So what you do is you use your character's water spell to get the shield wet. You jump that character, the boss character, into the future, so their shield has now rusted because weird. The water was on it. That's cool. And then now you can like attack them. So it's this really cool thing where again, that's the first and only time this power comes into play in a battle. Mm-hmm. But it's just this really cool concept of how time affects everything in this world, and just seeing that it's this instant hook of like, okay, well, like what else could you do with this? Because you have your normal JRPG elemental skills, where it's just like, oh yeah, that thing's on fire now.
Interesting.
But then clearly here there's this effect because you can see what's going to happen in the future. So just a really, really cool game that I think has some interesting takes on what JRPGs normally look like.
Dang it.
I told you like 8
JRPGs.
times to play.
How did I know this was the good one?
I told you like 8 times to play this, so that's on you.
No. Maybe it's still on there.
Again, one of those games where I think that was kind of what I was looking for with this, is what games do something unique. Sure. And those were kind of the ones I was looking for, because there were, of those 900, 300 2D platformers. Not that there's anything wrong with a 2D platformer, but it was kind of cool to find those games with those cool hooks. So I've been talking a lot about some games that stood out to me. This one you told me to play. And I did bad with it because if something didn't work with a controller, it wasn't going well for me, and that was ULTRAKILL.
Yes. And the idea of like even trying to touch ULTRAKILL with a controller, just like, this is like not the game for that. Yeah, ULTRAKILL is like, I freaking loved ULTRAKILL. It was I'm surprised how much I like this game. A very, very simple way of burning ULTRAKILL down is that it took the speed of like a Quake 3 multiplayer game or an Unreal Tournament and then transferred that speed into a single player game, and then gave it like kind of a Quake 2 aesthetic or Quake 1 and kind of like early 90s shooter aesthetic. And then they added like a DMC combo thing on top of it. This game, I just felt like I was like, it is probably one of the most stressful games I think I've played because it's that constant speed of like a multiplayer match where you're just like always on edge. So the basic concept of the game is that you are a robot, I think, and all of humanity has been wiped out, and you're traveling through hell. I think that's right. But
that seemed right.
But it has one of the coolest intros. I felt like this game had did such a great job of setting up the world and the setting. When you start the game, there's no sound, and it's just like, what the hell is going on here? And then what's happening is there's like a boot up screen.
Yep.
And it's you, the character, the robot, like booting up, and it's going through your menu options of like saying it's like, okay, to turn up the volume, like on your turn on your auditory sensors, and that's actually the volume button.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. But it gives you that story. It's like all of humanity has wiped out. You are on your way to hell. And then like you go through like it's just like so dumb and metal and fast and fun. Mm-hmm. And you feel at some points, because it's my favorite type of game design, glass cannon, where you as a character are super powerful because you got all these cool moves and stuff, but you die so fucking fast.
Oh yeah, for sure. And to go along with that, one thing that did stand out to me in the little bit I was able to play before I just got completely destroyed because I'm bad at mouse and keyboard. Yeah. The kill to health system works a lot like I think Doom tries to do.
Sure.
But it so much encourages you to run in there and just kill stuff super quick. Yeah. Because that's filling up your health, and as you're taking it, it's that I know I'm going to keep getting hit, and kind of can I refill it almost more so as it's dropping. And you're just constantly running around trying to balance that out, trying to go, okay, if I'm staying right around 50, it goes up a little bit, goes down a little bit, goes up a little bit, down. And again, I think
it is cool. Like it is cool. Like if you're really dying, and then you just kind of swoop into like a group of guys, like blow everybody up as fast as you can. It's like, oh my god, my health is going down. Then like your health shoots up, and you jump, like fly back out of the situation.
Yeah, and it's kind of what it's thing with Doom, where like you got to run to the enemy, you got to kill the enemy, and the health pops up, but it doesn't have the pickups, it doesn't have anything else. It pops up. It's instantaneous. It's right there, and the game moves so much faster that it's this weird balancing act trying to keep your health up. Yeah.
It's and the system, because like, and it's kind of metal. It's kind of metal because it's like you feed off demon blood, and it's so fun. The one thing, there's a really cool boss battle where you fight a robot with a samurai sword that's a chainsaw, and then they also have a shotgun. And apparently, how you get new weapons is you like kill bosses. So like you like rip off his arm, and that's the gun. So nice, that's how and there's some really cool weapons. Actually, they have a few weapons that are like clearly inspired by Painkiller, clearly inspired by Resistance, and some other games. It's just like, oh man, it was so fun. Although like really the game was stressful as hell. It's just like, I don't know if I could actually play this for like a few hours without taking like breaks in between because of how fast it is. Yeah.
It's definitely exhausting, even in the like 10 minutes I was able to manage. But
it's not a friendly game like at all. Like it's really hard.
Yeah, I got to the part where all of a sudden you can now fall off the edge of the world. Sure. And I kept falling off the edge, and I was just like, I'm done. I can't. Nope, this is just frustrating me. I can't.
Yeah, and if your character's moving like 1,000,000 miles per hour and can double jump and off walls and stuff, and get real complicated real quick.
Oh, yeah, it gets crazy. The next game is one that I really wanted to try, but just kind of ran out of time and wasn't able to get to, and that's Exo One.
Yes.
All I could kind of tell from this is it looked like you were a spaceship exploring a planet, and that sounded pretty cool.
It is. What is this game? Exo One is a exploratory game? ? You play as a ball. You play as a ball that is rolling around an alien planet, and the planet kind of like undulates into like a bunch of hills and mountains. And what you're doing is like you're pressing the button to basically play with your momentum. So if you're going down a hill, you hold the button, you'll speed up, and you want to let go before you like fly off, and then you can like fly off a ramp and then kind of start flying and that sort of thing. The game is just like, it's such a simple concept of like being this ball that's just kind of rolling around a large alien environment, but it's so gorgeous, and it's so much fun to play because you're like going for miles. And if you just hit your momentums like just right, you can fly like really, really high in the sky. So it's like really sad. It's like this really satisfying like movement loop. And then the environment you're in, it's just I guess it's just like any alien desert planet, but it's done with like such craft that it could be like a AAA game sort of thing. Nice. And it's kind of cool because it's such a small scale of like, you're just a ball rolling around, that they could really bump the graphics. The sound design is super, super cool. There's like really simple effects. Like when you fly up in the air, you turn to a Frisbee, and then your Frisbee power kind of like runs out after a while. But what it does, it makes like this staticky crackling noise, and your ship is glowing when it's the Frisbee mode. As it's making the staticky crackling noise, like the ship is like turning off. So it's like a light bulb turning off sort of thing, like crackling out and then burning out. And then like you're falling for like falling really far down. And it's cool because when you're in the air, there's a storm going on. And so you're going through a rainstorm, and there's like thunder and lightning and stuff going on. And then I remember one time the screen flashed, and it was like a portrait of like a bunch of astronauts, and I was just like, what is this game? Like there's a plot here. There's something going on. Sadly, like the demo kind of ends pretty quickly after that. But if you just like these sort of like kind of like chill out games that has a really, really, really fun movement system, and it's just done with such high quality. I guess the guy's been working on this game for like 5 years. Like you can feel it for sure.
Nice.
Like this is one of those games that's like I Steam wish listed. I'm like I'm probably gonna buy this game like the second it comes out. It really spoke to me like a weird way because it felt so mysterious but also fun, which I feel like is a kind of a hard balance to hit with all these games. I feel like all these games are like either like really cool concept, not so great gameplay, or sometimes really great gameplay, not so great like world or concept sort of thing. And it kind of like teetered back and forth, and I feel like this one was like just nailing both. So very excited to play this one.
So as you're describing it, I'm picturing like Flower. Is that a good comparison?
Yeah, if Flower is like on a spooky alien planet.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay,
it's very cool.
There's my regret that I didn't get to. So, but moving on here, this one we both played. This is one that you told me to play, and then I realized you didn't make it very far after.
No, I was too scared.
And that is Under, which instantly, I think between the hallways, the visual style to it, just you instantly think PT.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you're on a boat. You start out walking through these hallways. I didn't really catch much of the plot, I don't think. I kind of had that initial of like, what's going on? But
something about World War I.
The boat's flooding the whole time, so you've kind of got that eerie sense to it, but just a really eerie game to walk through. I don't think I made it to the end, but I'm not sure because I kept getting killed. This dude showed up and kept killing me, and after like 4 or 5 tries, I was like, I think maybe the thing is like you just can't finish it and you just die here and that's it. Or it has one of those weird PT twists where it's like you have to do this one really oddly specific thing. I have no clue, but I definitely got to that point, and after 4 or 5 tries, it was like, I'm out. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I think, because I kept dying at the same spot. I kept getting scared, and I didn't like it. But I thought the setting was really, really cool because you're on a sinking ship, but like it's like the ship is empty, and you're not really sure if there's a time limit or something going on. So you're just walking through an empty, dark ship that's just slowly filling with water, and then there's a weird spooky man who wants to kill you. And it was just like it looks really good too. It's like one of those games, like I'm always impressed when I play a demo and I'm just like, oh, this actually looks like it was done with like a really, it's obviously it's like not quite there yet, but I was like, oh, there's like a level of quality to this that I just wasn't expecting.
The one part of this that almost got me to quit before I just kept getting killed, there's a part where you get locked in this room. And there's 2 doors and a mirror in this room, and literally like you walk in and you go to the other door, and there's a I can't think of the word, like a mini door in the middle where you can't quite see both doors at the same time. So you go and look at one, and then you hear the other door close, so you run back over there, and then you start hearing this jingle, and you go back over there, and then the room starts filling. I couldn't. There's a key just sitting somewhere that like I was too like freaked out by like trying to look around all over the place that I missed for a second. So I got locked in this room for like 5 minutes, and it just gave me such a weird claustrophobic feeling as I'm sitting in this room that I almost had to turn it off there.
I had the exact same experience, but in that room you missed like a scare. So you know how they're in that room, there's like a portrait with the soldier with
the dude,
and then the guy's just like on the couch. I saw
the guy was on the couch.
Yeah, like he's just like on the couch, and like
I
just
totally
remember, like,
missed that.
Seeing him, and just like at that point I was just like, I don't think I can play this game. I don't think I can play this game. And then like I think after like 2 or 3 minutes I was like, this is too much. And getting stuck in that room because it's weird because you're not sure if that time limit in the background. Is there a time limit?
Exactly, because I think
probably not, but it feels like it for sure.
If I remember correctly, like water wasn't there initially.
Yeah.
And, like one of the scares is where the water comes in, so you get that like, oh my god feeling when that happens. But I think we're in the same place with this, where this demo was really cool. There's no way in hell I could ever play like this.
No. Yeah, no way. It was definitely one of the scariest things I think I've ever played. Like it is, they tried to do PT and they did a good job.
Yes, that's the best way to sum this up. Is this is the best PT since PT, and you can actually play this.
That's a really good actually. Yeah.
So to wrap this up, the last one for this part, and we've got a bunch more that we'll do in another video, is something you played called She Dreams of Elsewhere.
Yes. It was the one JRPG I played.
I was gonna say I saw this one and saw JRPG, but I think it was one of those where it was like I ended up doing these from like late at night, and I was like, I don't have time for a JRPG right now.
Yeah, I could definitely feel that because I feel like any JRPG demo, it's like, well, this is probably gonna be longer than the other ones. Could take me like 5 minutes to beat some guys and hop out to the next one, or I beat some guys for 5 minutes, sort of thing.
Yep.
So She Dreams of Elsewhere. The only reason I played is I kept hearing about it on Twitter, and it had some really cool key art.
It's the way to get Doug.
Yeah, no, exactly. So the concept for the game is that you are a woman in an apartment in New York City, like it's like modern day ish.
Okay.
And it's cool because so the entire cast is black, and then you're all in this like same apartment building, and the whole thing starts up with her being invited to a party she doesn't want to go to, and it basically starts with that sort of party anxiety of like, should I not go? Should I go? I don't want to go. Da, 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 da. And so so you go to the party, and it's this really cool naturalistic dialogue between all the characters, because some of them she's friends with, some of them she's not, some of them she doesn't know well, but it's got that like such great natural party dialogue of like, oh hey, it's that one guy, and then you like, as you're talking to that person, you're like, oh shit, I remember I don't actually have ever talked to this guy. It's just like somebody I've seen a lot, and then I actually have nothing to talk about with. Mm-hmm. And it kind of reminded me of like Night in the Woods sort of thing, of that sort of like naturalistic kind of like characters talking back and forth. And at some point you decide to leave the party, and then you're transported to a magical world. And the thing that's really cool is it reminded me a lot of Persona. And the one thing that always bugged me about Persona is like, I don't like the high school setting. It's just like, I don't care about high schoolers.
Agreed.
Like there's other, like I would say the most important parts of my life were not what I thought was in high school. So it's cool seeing characters my age kind of get stuck in this Persona world. So, and when it starts, when you start at the Persona world, it's like you're stuck there by yourself. But because the game has spent like 20 minutes or something of you interacting with other characters, when another character comes in, you're like, oh shit, that's that person. And now they're stuck in here with me. And then it's neat because because like they also just left the party and they ended up in this weird world. So they're trying to figure it out. And they did some cool stuff. So it's really neat. Like, I just think the setting is like really cool. The characters talking with each other. And there's even a scene, and like, honestly, the demo is like only a half hour, but there's a scene when one of the other characters of the party like comes into play, and I was just like, oh, that guy was super cool at the party. Like, he's in my party. Like, I like that. I like that he's part of the group, and it's kind of fun. Like, they do some other cool stuff. Like the first fight you do is that there's a drunk guy hitting on you in the apartment building, and then like one of the other guys comes to back you up. And they've got cool attacks like vicious burn and stuff like that, where like you insult them and that sort of thing. It's very similar to like Persona, where like characters have weaknesses, you can skip turns and that sort of thing. So like the combat's like fine, it's good JRPG combat with a cool cast, a cool setting, and like honestly, when it's done, I think I put like maybe an hour and a half into it. When it's done, I was just like, damn, this might actually be the JRPG I try to finish. Yeah.
Nice.
And it's got cool like JRPG hooks and stuff about dreams and that sort of thing. Like, is she dreaming? Is she not? That's why it's called She Dreams of Elsewhere. So really cool though.
Very cool. Well, this is part 1. We'll have another video with a few more games that we tried out. Mm-hmm. But we are Workforce Gaming. You can follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to us wherever you're listening, and we will see you later.
Bye.